So over the past few days, I want to say, there was a video that came out of literally nowhere and so that's how it is, Witter. Literally, that's how it is. You want to start ranting when I start recording, you bitch? I apologize. But when it comes down to it though, there was literally like a video the last couple of days that came out on Branonline's channel, basically talking about the new in-game mode for Genshin content, and he basically talked about it a little bit, criticized it, how it's not necessarily the greatest thing of all time, and then proceeded to get attacked for it, literally for, I have literally no clue of a reason. I don't really understand, I don't get it, but that's how it was, and it just started blowing out into this quote-unquote controversy, quote-unquote drama, and all this sort of stuff, which is just nothing. If I'm gonna be honest, it's literally just one man's speaks opinion of they don't like this certain thing and valid reasons as to why, only for everybody else to be like, nah, F that, we gotta start roasting some bitches. Call it Devilman Crybaby, because we about to put some heads on spikes and all that. Like, it's really not that serious. Granted, I understand, right? From an aspect of, you know, I like the game too. I very much enjoy certain things. And if somebody was talking mad shit, you better have a good ass reason as to why. Deep down, on a more primal level, I get that. I very much understand. But also at the very same time, it is not necessarily that big of a damn deal if someone else don't like it versus you liking it, right? Because one person might not necessarily like the damn game mode, a million other people might end up actually liking it. Like, a lot of this is hella blown out of proportion, and there's even like other people that's been tweeting about the situation that just make it sound like it's the most tragic thing to ever hit Genshin whatsoever, when it's really not. And a lot of people need to calm the hell down, content creators included. So when it comes down to it though, it's literally just one man's opinion versus a lot of other people that just wanted to come through for literally no reason, trying to rage bait, I suppose, and all that sort of stuff. Because I'll keep it very much a stat, I speak positive on Genshin a lot, annoyingly so for a fair amount of people, but at the very same time, I'm not blind to sit here and say that, oh, this game is absolutely perfect, this game has no issues whatsoever, because it kind of does, and I'll list a few of those things here. Like, obviously, the Stygian mode, or the Stygian mode, or the Stingy mode, whatever the hell this is called, essentially, I don't necessarily like it either. I tried it a fair amount of times. Yesterday, I busted ass trying to get the damn feather over, like, in the menacing mode of things, right? I tried my damnness, built up Kale in a way I never built her up before, built up a lot of characters in ways I never thought of doing before, just absolutely going ham, start trying to crown people and all that shit. But you know what the end result was? I still couldn't beat it. It's possible, it's very much possible to do it if I was given enough effing time, and really that's another factor we'll talk about in a minute. But when it comes down to it though, that shit's just hard. I can't get that shit. I got the primo gems, but not necessarily the feather shit for your artifacts. Why would you Why would you lock essentially something that's really damn helpful for a lot of people to get their artifacts up, only for them to kind of just be like, yeah, it's gonna be locked behind this bitch ass game mode that's kind of like really hard as hell for no effing reason? And yes, it's possible to get it, and yes, also the damn cosmetics for your weapons, sure, that's possible to get too, but at the very same time, it ain't worth all that. It just genuinely isn't, right? And there's so many other ways of how you could have done this, and really, if you wanted to, you know, have like the weapon skins, whatever, you could just put that in the Imaginarium Theater, if I'm gonna be honest, right? Just put that in there, and yes, that's a bit more of a, you know, selection, I guess, a hard selection to pick when it comes down to getting the poses of each character for photos, and then you add that on top of it. But I feel like that would have been a valid thing instead of trying to make a whole new game mode for something else, right? I don't necessarily think you needed this whole mode, even with, you know, the artifact side of it, which is still a helpful thing, but it's not necessarily the ultimate need. It's a need, but it's not the ultimate need. But when it comes down to it though, you didn't have to make a whole new game mode just so you can slap that whole reward system in there, when I feel like you could just add that to Imaginarium Theater and call it a damn day, and then make a game mode within that. I feel like you have the resources and the time to do it, they just chose not to for whatever reason. And I guess just to add a bit of lore there, which if that's what you wanted to do, I guess, but still nonetheless, it's just like, come on, there's way better ways of how you could have done it. And speaking of way better ways of how they could have done this thing, the damn clock. You don't need a clock to make a game mode seem harder, right? It only makes it more annoying, right? I'm not saying that you don't need a timer for any battle whatsoever. I feel like that's fine, right? I feel like that's absolutely fine if you want to add a timer to any of the game modes that you wanted to do. Like Spiral Abyss. I know people don't like Spiral Abyss. I already know. People say it's too easy, which granted, I do not clear level 12 at all. I tried to, I've only did it once, and that was the only time. But when it comes down to it though, you know, you can have a timer in Spiral Abyss. I'm not mad at that. You know, that's one game mode, who cares? But when you start adding to like a lot of other things, you need to at least make it different. Imagineer theater, you kind of make it different a little bit. You know, it's not necessarily the best way to use a timer or anything like that, but at least it's different, right? Because like, oh, if you don't make it in time to beat, to get the stars or whatever, then certain things happen to your character, and that's not something I'm mad about. That's a little different. You might start losing health, might get shot with electricity, or whatever the hell might happen. I'm not super mad about that, right? But then when you add it to a third game mode, that's when it's like, bro, do you know how to do anything but a damn timer? The enemies already do not attack with like, new attack animations, I would say, and anything like that. They just give them more health and then essentially just add a timer to kind of shit on you just because they could. Like, if you're going to give a boss some extra bits of health, you should give that boss that health, but they should have something that, gives a solid reason as to why they have that health, right? At least make the boss act differently, make the boss more crazy or something like that in a way. I'm not asking for like an absolute Dark Souls boss in every sort of instance, because dear gosh, I would get sick of that real quick, especially if this was like a weekly thing, and if that's what you had to do every week, beat a Dark Souls boss. No, I'm good. It's not even worth playing the game at that point. But when it comes down to it though, I am asking for something to be done a bit differently of how the boss is supposed to be done in certain event modes. That's just how it is, right? I'm gonna be real. I feel like Kingdom Hearts does it a very decent way of how they have their bosses. Whether it's like the Sephiroth boss fight or the Young Xehanort boss fight from KH3, there is a reason as to why they have a ridiculous amount of health, and they know exactly the target audience of who's gonna go ahead and challenge that shit. That there's very much ease as to why certain things happen with those games, and when they have the characters start losing their health, their opponents start losing health and whatever, they start throwing out some random ass shit. They'll start getting desperate and use desperation moves and start beating your ass with it, right? And every time you lose, it's not necessarily because the game is shitty or something like that. It's just the fact that, you lost, that's just how it is, and now you just gotta try it again and beat some ass. That is literally what is going down, and it feels very fair every single time. Even when Young Xehanort's bitch ass with his desperation move at his last bit of health, if you beat that last desperation move, you got his ass. That's how it is. But for Genshin, that's not really the case. And again, mainly the thing is the timer, because again, the timer doesn't really need to be there, right? To make a boss fight harder, you could literally take away, make certain moments happen where, I don't know, like attack and defense, go absolutely to the shitter. You can make crit rate and crit damage non-existent if that's what you want to do, right? You could absolutely make elementary mastery, go down a lot more, or something like that. Debuff the character in certain ways, maybe like at certain points in the fight, and then they get back again, and then, they don't do a certain thing, they get it, taken away. But it's just like, come on, there's different ways of how you make a boss fight good or hard or whatever that doesn't require a bitch ass timer. Because I promise you, if I had a whole ass timer, and actually I take that back, not have a timer on the damn second boss fight with the lava bitch, I promise you, I could have got that feather. I could have got that feather and washed him cleanly. But that's just not how it is because the F-ass timer. And I guess one of the other things too I could really just use as an example of what I don't like, and I guess this is due to the recent story quest, but time travel. I really don't like the concept of time travel being used here. Yes, I understand it has kind of always been a theory and a thing that people thought about for years now. I absolutely get that. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to like that shit, right? That's just literally how it is. To to this day, since that quest of this patch came out, I still don't know how exactly, Conria exists in the future with the exact details. I still do not get it. I just know it exists in the future, and that's where our sibling is. I still do not get it, right? I understand a lot of Genshin lore now since I've been doing certain videos, but when it comes down to it though, I don't get this aspect. This aspect effing sucks to understand because I don't understand anything of what was going on. You could give me Nah Cry lore all day. When that happens, oh, I'm here for it. But the moment you start throwing out, some timeline shit, it just tosses my brain into unpleasant ways of just life, honestly, right? You can have Branonline literally in the classroom, just literally at the board, trying to teach what the hell has happened, while Minslif is slapping a damn ruler on the desk hard as hell because, or just whatever reason, I guess to please Daneslip or some shit, and my ass sitting in the desk, and I still don't know what the hell is going on. That is literally how it is for me. It's probably not that damn hard, but I can't wrap my mind around shit like that easily, right? It's why I avoid time travel shit in my own damn show. Why hopefully I will never try to do it, or at least if I do it, it's not going to be complicated as hell. I promise you that. Then there's, I guess, like another example, and I use this as the real last one. I guess I could say I don't really like the idea that characters will be around the world, around the map that you could just run into and interact in a certain instance of a way where it's like that's kind of all certain characters are relegated to, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and lie. There is character quests I would still much love to see that has been relegated to literally like, what is it called? For like the friendship hangout quest, the dating quest, or you literally have something like the over the map kind of thing where you find them in the overworld and whatever. Like those are cool, and I like that we got some extra ones that you can spend time with. But then there's not a lot of the characters I would like to spend time with that don't get anything of that, right? Or at least if you do, it's in the overworld quest, or at least it's in the overworld, like find them around the map type of thing, and then it's not really something that lasts for a long period of time, right? If you gave them a hangout, I at least feel a little bit better, but you don't really get that. Like there's still quests I feel like certain characters should definitely have. I would have loved to have a Kuki Shinobu quest at some point. Chi quest is my main one I would still very much like to see. Instead of relegating her whole story to text on screen, which is nonsense, I would very much like to see just a lot of different characters get a quest that they just don't really get to have, even if it's silly. Like that's the whole point. You can have it on the hangout side of stuff, right? Even if it's silly, that's fine. You could have that, but just give it in a different way that is like, something that we can actually interact with and do, versus not giving that at all. Like Shan Yun could have a whole ass quest to herself, which she kind of has, but at the very same time would like to see a bit more of her as a character. There's just so much shit. There's just so much shit and missed opportunities that we do not get for whatever reason. And I get it, the game is ongoing, and there's always going to be something new for the world to kind of get added into, right? To the point that we don't really need to go back to those older characters and give them something. But it would be nice just to do so, right? It would be nice that we get something of certain people every now and again. And I guess that's the problem with a lot of characters being in the game. Literally, there's too many, and there's literally not a lot of options of what you can stick in right here, here, and here, and thinking everything's gonna work out, but it might not. But my point is though, is that again, it is alright to have valid ass criticisms of things that you might not necessarily agree with a certain game, a certain thing, or whatever. That's perfectly fine. Ain't nobody should be beating your ass over something like that, right? The fact that that happened to Brand is kind of wild and crazy. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. The fact that that's literally the controversy, quote unquote, and that's the big thing that people are talking about right now, is so a non-issue, should be a non-issue sort of thing, right? Because at the end of the day, as someone that plays the game, even if it was a take that, I don't necessarily agree with, the hell do I have to care about his take for? Literally, it does not matter to me. It should not matter to a lot of other people. But for whatever reason, it does. And a lot of people decide to be head asses more than they should be, right? And that's just not, again, something that should be this much of an important sort of thing to care about. Like I don't really understand. Now it would be different maybe if he was saying stuff in like a crazier ass way, just saying, oh, F these people for putting this game mode in, and just going in like in the most, you know, aggressive ass way, unnecessarily aggressive ass way. I could get why there's a response against that, but at the very same time, it's not necessarily that big of a damn issue, right? It's just not. We are made to agree with certain people. We are made to agree with other things. We're made to disagree with people and other things, right? That's like how I said I don't really care for Wuwa's story. I still don't. However, I will note Setsumont was actually the first damn story I gave a damn about. I kind of like it. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Setsumont had like a bunch of bad bitches. I'm not gonna sit here and cap. I'll give Wuwa that. They know how to make some bad women. But when it comes down to it though, like that's kind of still the point. Like I don't necessarily care for that game in story-wise of things, but there's other things about it I do like, and just because you say one negative thing about something in the game doesn't mean the whole game is a throw it away sort of situation. So again, it's very ridiculous that this whole thing is even a thing when there is other aspects of it that, you know, we can all sit here and enjoy for the fun. And at the end of the day, it's just one person's opinion. It does not mean the whole weight of Hoyoverse has now collapsed and now it's crashing to the earth and now we living in a black hole. That's not what that means. It's just one guy not necessarily liking an opinion, and that's literally it. It should not take over your time. It should not take over your whole life because of one person saying something. People just want to start shit just to start shit just because they can and they're bored. And that's why drama sucks. So that's why we're ending class today. But anyway, that's essentially all I got to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Hit the bell notification on your way out. Also on socials. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until next time, boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.